Welcome back to another video on the channel. I did plan on this being my preview and prediction video of the Indian Wells, both men's and women's. I was planning on looking through the draw and picking out your winners, the underdogs, and looking forward to a fantastic week in America. It's a fantastic tournament, one I thoroughly enjoy. I love the hard courts tournament, being fans of the likes of Djokovic and Thiem and Medvedev's really at the best on these sort of quick American courts. The women's side of the draw always throws up fantastic matches as well. The really quick courts, it wasn't promised to be the best on the women's side, and there was quite a few big withdrawals. Halep was a notable one as well, but still it would have been a fantastic tournament for the men and the women. And unfortunately, I woke up to the news this morning in the UK it's been cancelled due to the coronavirus. And the coronavirus, it started in Asia, and I know Italy's been badly affected, particularly the northern parts. I'm from the UK, and it's developing all the time in the UK. I think we're up to 380 cases now, and it was little 40 or 50 last week. So it just shows it's spreading very, very quickly, and it is very dangerous. The people that are weak and the elderly people are the ones that are going to be most badly affected. Sporting events are going to be badly affected. We've obviously got the Euros coming up, the football, the Olympics, Wimbledon, obviously the Grand Slams. There's obviously cricket ongoing, the Formula Ones, the touring the world. So there is lots of sporting events going on around the world, but how many will go ahead, we remain to be seen. But I think it's important to start the video off by saying that you think the safety of all the spectators and the players and everybody has to be paramount. No sporting event is bigger than people's lives and health, and I think that's most important. But for tennis governing bodies, I think there's ways and means of getting through tournaments and cancelling them, and I don't think they've covered themselves in glory race really with this cancellation, but I'll go on to that later in the video. So yeah, I think it was Diego Schwartzman came out this morning and said that he doesn't mind the tournament being cancelled. He can understand why it's happened. They had apparently discussed playing the Indian Wells behind closed doors, but they decided not to go ahead with it. I mean, tennis wouldn't be the same, would it, without the fans and the atmosphere and the grounds? I mean, at least the tournament would go ahead and we'll probably be able to see it on some sort of link or TV. I'm sure somebody would manage to stream it or put it live, but it wouldn't really be the same. You wouldn't have that, as I say, atmosphere in the court, and I'm sure the players wouldn't particularly enjoy it. So I think it's probably right to just cancel altogether. But it's not just going to be this one tournament. I think it was Jamie Murray was saying this morning on Twitter that will the Miami Open go ahead? Unlikely to. I think there's one case of coronavirus around where the Indian Wells tournament is held, and they've cancelled that one. But looking at the clay court season, you obviously got the Italian Open. I mean, 16 million people have been quarantined in northern Italy. There's absolutely looks like there's no chance for the Italian Open going ahead. The Monte Carlo Masters, Monte Carlo obviously borders Italy, a little chance of going ahead. The French Open, I think coronavirus is reaching France now. Obviously not far from Italy again, and the French Open obviously a major tournament. Wimbledon, have just said how the UK is getting badly affected. Olympics is in Tokyo, and Asia's got it very bad. So the main tournaments in Europe is certainly going to be badly affected. And I can't really imagine a French Open or Wimbledon being played without any fans. It'd be very, very strange. And it's a difficult one really. Obviously you say the safety of the players is paramount, but then other sports, the Premier League, where I'm from, the UK, and the football hasn't been affected at all yet. None of the events have really in the UK. So you're wondering if other sports can have ways and means of getting around it. Then can tennis? But they are going to have to quickly have meetings and decide how they approach it, because the French Open were here before we know it, and obviously it's a massive tournament in the sport for sponsorships and money and rankings and players. But if it does get to a point where people's safety are in danger, then there's no option other than to delay or cancel the tournament or full stop. One problem I do have, I know Diego Schwartzman, I think a lot of players have voiced their opinion about it, is the timing of the cancellation. I mean, it's not a problem for me. I was just a fan at home looking forward to watching it, so it doesn't make any difference to my life. But you think all the journalists, all the spectators, the players, the coaches, their families, the money that they've spent on hotels and flights, and I'm sure, could they've decided this a week or two beforehand? I'm sure they could have. I mean, it's not exactly fantastic preparation to cancel a tournament. A matter of hours before it starts is very disappointing. I mean, you look at the top of the Grand Slam lists and the top players in the world. Your Djokovic's and your Nadals and your teams. Money isn't a problem to them. I mean, they've still got families. They would still rather be relaxing at home, I'm sure, if they were going to be guaranteed a week off, which they are now. But the players, in the bottom half of the draws, and the coaches and the fans that you think have travel the world to support these players that don't have endless amounts of money to fund these trips. I mean, flights to America and hotels for weeks cost a hell of a lot of money, and to just cancel a tournament a week before, a matter of hours before it starts is very poor in my opinion. So it's up to the ATP and WTA now to really plan ahead. If there's no chance of you tying up and going ahead, if coronavirus is not going to get it's not going to be settled very quickly. I can imagine it's going to get worse before it gets better. The Italian Open is due to go ahead. I think it's in April, isn't it, or early May. And I mean, if there's no chance of a tournament going ahead, why not just cancel it now and allow players time to prepare, training regimes, allow fans and spectators, as I say, and coaches to save money, because it's not fair on them to lose money on travelling if the tournament had no chance of going ahead. But yeah, ultimately, the safety of everybody has to be paramount when you consider anything, weather and viruses like this. If it is going to affect anybody physically, then you can't go ahead with the tournament. But yeah, just massively disappointing. I was thoroughly looking forward to this tournament. To Masters event, and all the top players turn up, and the 2G provides a fantastic couple of weeks of tennis when you consider the Miami Open as well. I'm not sure if that's going to go ahead yet. There's been no word on that, but that would be massively disappointing as well if that was cancelled. But just to look back on the hardcourt season, who stole the headlines, and obviously you have to point to Djokovic. I mean, he was unbeaten this year in Australia. He lifted his eighth Australian Open title. He had a fantastic couple of weeks. Returned to the world number one. Should have been looking forward to winning. He's won 5 Indian Wells titles, I believe it is. Rafa's won 3, so they would have been battling out. Might have made the final. Dominic Thiem had a fantastic start to 2020. Disappointment for Stefanos Tsitsipas and Daniil Medvedev. I'm sure they'll be looking to return in form on the clay if we get them tournaments. And the women's side, it was Elena won in Monterrey last night. A massive win for her. She did go into that tournament, seeded world number one. Seeded the world, but seeded number one, in that tournament. But she's been struggling over the last 18 months just to win them big matches, so I think that tournament win will do her a huge boost of confidence. She was master favourite entering the tournament with a number of withdrawals, but she done what she had to do, and she won what was a very, very good final. And Sofia Kenin became the first woman to win 2 WTA titles in 2020. Obviously, she lifted her maiden Grand Slam title in Melbourne, beating Garbine Muguruza in the final, and she won a second title last night. And I watched bits and bobs of that tournament. I watched quite a few Kenin's matches, and she didn't play anywhere near as well as she did in the Australian Open, but she relied on them qualities that she did in the Australian Open, and that got her through and won the title. And that she's got that heart and grit and determination and that ability to fight for every ball and never give up in a game, and that got her through. She didn't play the prettiest of tennis, didn't play the most entertaining tennis by any means this week, but she won the title, which is all that matters really. She fought for every ball, and she scrapped it out. And I think the more experience Kenin gets, the older she gets. She's still only 21. I can see her being a real star of the future. But I hope we do get these tournaments in some way. I mean, as I said at the start of the video, to play behind closed doors would be a massive shame, because tennis is a sport that relies massively on crowd support, and interaction with the crowd and all the emotions, and it's obviously a very well supported sport. And we've got Wimbledon, which is always packed to the rafters. French Open's very well supported. The Italians love the tennis. The Miami Open, Indian Wells have always very full, the stadiums. The Americans have had a number of players in the draw, particularly the women's side. Coco Gauff, Sophia Kenin, Serena, were all due to play. So it's a massive shame for the locals that the tournament's not going ahead. But this was also destined to be a brilliant season. You've got the Grand Slam title race is really hotting up now with Djokovic, Nadal and Federer. You've got the young guns, Dominic Thiem's coming through, looking more like winning the Grand Slam with every tournament. Stefanos Tsitsipas, Daniil Medvedev, Alexander Zverev returning to form. I'm sure we were guaranteed a fantastic French Open in Wimbledon. So just fingers crossed that they do eventually go ahead. And on the women's side of the draw, you've obviously, you've got your legends, your Halep and your Kvitova and Serena Williams, Venus Williams. And then some of the men's, you've got the youngsters coming through. Andreescu's due back from injury, won the US Open in her last tournament. Sophia Kenin winning a maiden Grand Slam title. Coco Gauff's coming through, and you've got plenty of young players. Heather Watson's playing fantastic again in the top 50 on Jabeur. There's loads of young players coming through on both sides of the draw that would have guaranteed fantastic matches. You've got that perfect blend now, I think, of experience and talent. You've got these young players, particularly on the women's side, who aren't they aren't frightened of the big players anymore. They're not frightened of playing the likes of Kvitova and Williams. I mean, Williams lost 3 finals against what you call inexperienced players in the saga, and players like Andreescu. They're really coming through and they're blowing up the court, and they're not showing any signs of nerves in the finals. They're almost thriving on them, I feel. I'm sure we're guaranteed a fantastic French Open and Wimbledon, so hopefully they do go ahead. Yeah, it's disappointing. I was looking forward to this week in Indian Wells, but as I say, the first thing you have to think of is the tournament directors they've got not people's lives in their hands, but these players are massive stars in the world of tennis, and if there's any risk whatsoever in them getting unwell or coronavirus, it's killed people across the world, and the spectators going to be going to these events that are under threat from that, then you can't risk it. The safety of everybody has to be paramount. It is just a sporting event, and in the day, the world will go on. We'll be back next year in the Indian Wells, and you're guaranteed a fantastic tournament then. So hopefully there's just a little bit more preparation now and more meetings to decide how the tennis schedule is affected from this coronavirus. But hopefully we get on the clay court in Monte Carlo in the Italian Open, and finally the French Open, another Grand Slam, and hopefully have a fantastic 2020 in the tennis. But don't be surprised if many more sporting events get cancelled. I think the Euros is under serious threat. Obviously due to be played in France and England, but you're going to have people from all around the world coming to watch that event, and it's very dangerous. Obviously the Olympics in Tokyo, Asia's been badly affected, and again that's a world event where people will be wanting to travel from all over the world to watch it. But if it's not safe and coronavirus is spreading to the thousands by that point, then it's very unlikely to be going ahead. But we'll look at that near the time. There will be another video coming out later this week. I'll think of something to bring out. It might just be something completely off topic, or I might do another Q&A video. If you do have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or send them in on my Twitter, and I will do another Q&A with the Indian Wells not being on. I am aiming to get at least 2 videos out a week, but with the obviously tournament being scrapped, it's very difficult, but I will get something out. So yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll be back later on this week with another video, and I'll see you at that time. Thanks, bye.